Hi, Ambika. Good morning.
Morning, Ghazi. How's it going?
Welcome back. Good, thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing great.
You look fantastic. Oh my goodness. Look at you all bright-eyed at 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Ronnie. Happy belated
I
birthday.
love that you say that. I've been up since 2 with jet lag and baby getting used to the new timings. And I was like, we just got to generate ourselves.
Oh, wow. No, well, you don't look like you've been up since 2. You look, I'm like, wow, look at you.
I think the glow is probably the remnant glow from New Zealand's sun and 2 months of being there. But uh,
All right.
but thank you. How are things with you?
Yeah, been a real up and down, but I was like, I'm gonna make sure that I jump on the call with you guys today.
Oh,
And
brilliant. And is this your
this
first call?
is my first time joining you guys.
Oh,
Yeah, my
brilliant.
first one.
Brilliant.
Ronnie, can I see Kanaya? Please stop walking. Stop
Yeah,
like
I'm just
walking.
trying to move
Hello.
stuff here to get into quiet zone.
Can we see
Hi,
him?
Dozy.
Hi, Kanaya. Oh, you're so cute.
Hey, good
hang,
morning, Puppy.
hang on, I can do video, can't I?
Yep.
I, excuse, excuse my
Hey,
I'm
Dozy.
hi.
Yeah, Auntie Dozy.
That's fine. We have people dialing in from bedrooms, pajamas, tubes, wherever. And you look beautiful
Yeah.
as always.
Well, I'm in my gym clothes, so I'm halfway there. After the call, I'm straight to exercise. So
Awesome. Awesome. Looking awesome. Lovely to see you, Dozy. I'm just going to go with Kane in the other room,
okay,
but we can carry on.
all right.
Perfect. Morning, Caroline. Morning, Hannah. Welcome,
Hey guys.
ladies. So we have a powerful start this morning with ladies. So I think this is the first time we've got all three of you on, Carolyn, Hannah, and Ghazi. So as a quick introduction, my name is Ambika. I've met all of you. Our Monday morning calls are to really disrupt the status quo, which is Monday morning blues, and have everybody kick off the week powerfully with a big bang, really clear, really intentional, and getting that we choose how the day goes, we choose how the week goes. Morning, Pam. Welcome on a morning call. And Bonnie, love this. Phones beeping in. All right, ladies. So we're going to kick off right away and get started with this morning's topic. So the first 10 minutes, I'd love for us to all unmute our buttons and have this bit be very interactive because it'd be nice to hear everybody's thoughts on this. So the topic is failure, much talked about, various notions around it. We've all experienced some version of it multiple times in our life to date. And what may occur as failure to somebody may occur as actually that's brilliant to somebody else. And so, what is it about failure that becomes such a trigger that has us become so risk averse? And I'd like to kick off by opening the floor to you guys and asking you, what does failure look like for you? You know, share an example where you failed or where you've not gotten somewhere because you've been afraid of failure.
I can go, Ambika.
Go for it, Ghazi.
Morning, everyone. For me currently, it's a really great topic because I feel like you're literally speaking my life right now. So for me, in the last week, I've let go, and I don't want to say given up, but I've let go of like 4 goals. I've been really, I'd had a real like I don't know, tenacity to like achieve over, I'd say over 10 years. And it was getting married, having children, owning my home by the sea, and I say owning a successful business. It's not that I don't have a successful business, but those 4 things I'd been chasing for like over 10 years. And last week I just woke up one day and I was like, why? What? I don't have them, and I had to kind of like relook at um, everything around that, like around why I was chasing it, why did I want it, and I'd almost lost, I actually just lost connection to any of them, and so, and when I looked at what was really going on, it was 3 things. One, there was a lot of guilt that I maybe missed opportunities that were present.
Mm.
And there was a lot of shame around the fact that I told the whole world, you know, for those of us on this call who've done the Landmark Forum, you'll know about declaring your possibility. And I don't know how many times I must have like declared, being a wife or having children or owning my business. Like, so you said this in front of like hundreds of people over countless years. So there's a lot of shame around that, like, not achieving this, and just kind of keep going for it, just because you said it. And then there was a lot of resentment and regret around look at other people, they have it, I don't have it, what's the difference between them and me, and all this kind of thing. So prior to I guess now, I did feel like a real failure. I felt like, oh my goodness, I've gone over 10 years going after all these goals that I've told the whole world and their dog that I want to achieve, not having achieved, and really felt like a failure. But I guess having done all that work and seen what was really underneath it, and kind of making peace with all of it, I don't see it as a failure so much as, okay, what can I learn from that, and how can I regroup, and how can I actually, from this point on now, what can I what can I do next? So I don't know if that answered your question, but it was very real for me at one point in the last week that, oh my goodness, I really failed at life. I failed at achieving goals. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Ghazi. It absolutely answers the question. And thank you for firstly sharing that so honestly on this platform. And just to create with everybody, it's these kind of conversations where we have the courage to be that vulnerable and just share, what's so on these calls has us connect with our greater whys, our purpose. And in sharing, we offer something to every single one on the call, but also allow others to be a contribution to us. So thank you so much, Ghazi, for that. And Ghazi, I just want to ask a couple of questions around that. Your share was perfect. And I completely got the sense of failure with all 4 goals, not quite being where they are. Well, at least 3 out of the 4. Because the business has got its feet and it's running in various aspects. And so with all of them, or even if you just take any one of them, was there actions you were taking and not getting the result, or were there days you'd feel like taking action and not, or just purely be focused on the goal, and then what and how that was being achieved was completely varied?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think yes to all your questions. So there were definite like action points, goal setting, breaking down the goals. So for instance, when it comes to like, I guess let me just take like relationship as one. So in that realm, it'd be, you'd see me, going on dates, or, joining different clubs and online dating, and meeting people through friends. I travel a lot as well. So I'm quite lucky in the sense that I travel a lot. So I get to meet a lot of people and go to lots of different places. And also being Nigerian and British, I'm always back at Nigeria, or always here. So in terms of like having 2, I guess, awesome pools to play in, there's that. So it would be taking action, but not yielding the results that I guess I wanted. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And why I asked that is because what we distinguish, and it's a perfect segue to go into, the crux of how most human beings act, and therefore how failure shows up for us. So most of us act out of 3 key modes, which is either not taking the actions at all. So we say we want to get into a relationship, and then we don't do zilch about it, and we're surprised or disappointed or resentful, or we've taken some actions in varying degrees, right? So 1 is not taking the action. 2 is taking action. However, it's very much driven by our likes or dislikes. So what does that mean? It's very much driven by our mood, our emotions. How am I feeling today? Should I do this or shouldn't I do that? And the 3rd one is being fully attached to results. So looking at, and I can hear, I think some of them, each one of these 3, Ghazi, in everything you share. And if I turn the lens to myself as well, in really just giving examples around not taking any one of these 3, I can see failure in so many different ways show up, just, even as I was preparing for this call, in multiple aspects of my life. So in not taking action, I was in New Zealand for 2 months, visiting family on the final leg of my maternity leave. And I was like, yeah, my parents are going to be there. They're going to look after Kanea. I'm going to have time to go to the gym daily. And it didn't happen. I probably went to the gym 5 times in total. And then went for walks probably, 10, 20 times in the 2 months. And so it was absolutely different to what I thought it would be. I thought I'd come back with a 6-pack, looking really great. My first ever 6-pack, not that I've ever had it before. But, that didn't happen. And I was sitting on the plane going, all right, this is a familiar experience where I've, I thought that something will happen in the future because circumstances will change. But you know what? I didn't take the action. I simply didn't go. And I have a gazillion reasons. Sitting and chatting with parents, Kanea's nap times were different, blah, blah. But the point is, I didn't take the action. Taking action around likes and dislikes. That was very much the case for me in my first 2-3 years after I graduated from my PhD. My first year in my role was absolutely related to what I had spent the last decade studying: maternity health, obstetrics and gynecology. I specialized in pregnancy. And so that's what I got my job and moved to London, bam. And after a year, I was just like, you know what? This just isn't fulfilling. And I want to do something in the development sector. And I transitioned and I went into consulting, strategy consulting. And I had never sat on a laptop, never done Excel sheets. I spent the last decade in hospitals, in maternity wards, ladies delivering babies left, right, and center. And it was such a change. And I struggled horribly. And my 3-month probation period in that job didn't get extended. And on my meeting at the end of my probation period, I got told that my probation hasn't extended. And I was crushed. I couldn't believe it. I felt, I graduated, I got my doctorate. In many spaces, I had, a brand because I published so many papers in one industry. I moved sectors and I was a nobody. And forget, becoming a somebody, I didn't even get through my probation period. So that felt like a gigantic failure. But where the likes and dislikes driven action shows up in is simply doing a job I thought I would enjoy, rather than really looking at what is my higher purpose and is this job, are the values of the team aligned with that. I was simply focused on, I need to prove I can get some job done. I need the money. I need some sort of status affiliated with me. So let's go in and do this. The third one, which is being attached to results, is in not conceiving or getting pregnant successfully for about 3 years. So most of you know our story. We had miscarriage in 2013. And after 2013 till 2016, we aggressively tried to get pregnant, and it just didn't happen. Month on month on month, I would get my period after we'd be trying, and it was just horrible. It was so disappointing, massively resigned. And it was really at the tail end of those 3 years, having multiple conversations, similar to yourself, Ghazi, did a lot of personal development, courses, programs, around that, to really every course and seminar I go into is like, all right, we're getting pregnant in this. And then 3 months, 7 months get over and we weren't. And it was like, damn, what's not shifting? I was so attached to getting pregnant that I completely missed the grander picture. And I got the best coaching ever, which was to shift being attached from getting pregnant to create a possibility of being committed to becoming a parent. And they're two very different worlds. Yes, when you get pregnant, you have a kid and you become a parent. But the mindset shift is, one is purely attached to a result, and the other one is standing in a grander vision of who I get to be. And when I brought that shift about, a whole new world of how we could have kids showed up. We could do IVF. We could adopt. And I just felt like there was gigantic burden or self-wrong making that just disappeared. And miraculously, whilst our actions continued, shifting my focus from the result to just the action and getting very creative, had us within no time conceive miraculously, naturally, and Kanea was born. And so, with every single one of these 3 steps, I invite each of you to look at, where is failure showing up for you guys right now? What are you dealing with or afraid to deal with because you think you're going to fail? Is it you're not taking action at all? Is it you're taking action around your mood, around, hey, is the wind blowing in the right direction? Do I feel like getting out of bed? Am I hungry? Should I go to the kitchen and eat instead of sitting and committing to this? Or I'd rather hang out with my mates, or whatever else it is. Or just being attached to the results. And where we invite you guys is to take yourself from that mindset, which is how we traditionally function, human beings, not just us on the call, but every one of us function in any one of those realms. Take ourselves out of that and put on a new hat, which is called a mindset of karma yoga. Now, karma yoga essentially is an approach, a mindset, which is bringing the mind where the hands are, being 100% aligned internally, and therefore our actions externally allow us to be present in the moment. For those of you on the call last week, we touched on living in the moment and what it looks like to be 100% present. So really building off of that is, adopting a mind of karma yoga. And to look at the word, can I just request everybody mute themselves? There's a tap or a kettle or some background sound. We're somebody making a morning coffee. Can everybody please mute themselves? Or let me just, can I do it from this end? No, I can't. But if everybody can hear me just fine, I'm going to go on. Conscious of time. All right, I think the background sound's gone. Thank you. All right, so looking at the word karma yoga, yoga has now become affiliated with a modern concept of a type of exercise. But actually, the roots of the word yoga come from bringing the mind and the body in alignment. And so what does that actually look like? That looks like if I am sitting and eating my food, my mind is where my hands are. So it's fully present to me picking up the food with my spoon, putting it in my mouth, chewing it X number of times, and then swallowing it, and then appreciating the taste, the flavor. That's being fully present in that given moment. Or if I'm sitting at work and working on my laptop, it's being 100% present, bringing my mind, again, where my hands are, on what I'm typing, not what I need to do next or what I haven't done before. Often, all of us are doing one thing, but our mind is in multiple different realms and multiple different planes because we're rarely 100% present in that moment. And the act of karma yoga, or the mindset of karma yoga, actually allows us to, once you start adopting it, it's brilliant because it liberates us from the bondages of our thoughts and what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing, and just gives us the freedom to be so powerful and so effective in that moment. Another benefit is that we actually learn to disconnect from the results and stay purely focused on the actions. Now, why is that important? That's important because we affiliate our ultimate goal of why we do anything is to be happy. Anything we do in life is to pursue happiness. But the pitfall or the trap here is that we focus on the results to be happy. When we shift our focus from the results onto the actions and be happy in the moment, bring that karma yoga mindset so that whatever we're doing in that moment, we take on having it be a pleasure, a joyous experience, then no matter what the outcome of the result is, the journey has been incredibly fulfilling. And the result always then get aligned with what it is we're seeking. However, when we're dreading the actions purely to be attached to get a particular outcome, we miss the whole point. Not only do we not get the results, at times we do get the results, but it turns out it's not what we wanted. But most of the times we don't get the results, i.e. think it's a failure. But then on top of that, we've just wasted all those moments, whether it's days, weeks, months, or years, in dreading that whole journey because we didn't ever fully bring our mind to where our hands are. So, how we take on karma yoga is really two key aspects. One is we only have power in the choice of actions we take, so in choosing what actions we're going to take. And the second is the attitude with which we fulfill on taking the actions. That's the only two places where we have full power and full control in shifting our mindset around our relationship to failure. So I'm going to repeat that. One is in choosing the actions we take, and two is once we take the actions, in the attitude with which we fulfill on those actions. We have no choice in the actual result. The result will come up. It's almost like, the law of nature. With every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? We can never focus purely on controlling the reaction because the action will generate that. So if you shift your focus from letting go of being attached to the reaction and purely focus on the action, a whole different realm shows up and a whole different spectrum of results start to show up that weren't present for you before. Now, with this karma yoga, what we call it also is a win-win attitude. And there's some special features which I'd love to create with you guys. So as I said, attitude counts. It prepares you for bringing a mindset of working towards a much higher goal than purely one specific outcome, whether it's getting into a relationship, whether it's having a baby, whether it's getting a job, X salary, X body type, takes you from that singular approach to, I want to become a parent and raise offspring who can fulfill on our grander mission. A whole new spectrum of actions start to show up in that realm. Even if taking actions bring you a little bit of joy, the impact on the results will be magnified, because once you actually obtain any result, having enjoyed every single moment of the journey getting there, you will find a multiple-fold grander impact in happiness and joy once you attain the results. Even if you fail, you're in not getting the desired outcome, your actions will be so fulfilling that not only will you be grateful for yourself taking actions, but amongst your community, you start to be perceived and seen as somebody who's just being a big contribution. And ultimately, human beings are purely driven by wanting to make a difference to others and to ourselves. There was a great quote given by, I think it was Dalai Lama, which was, our greatest joy is in being selfishly selfless. And when I heard it, it just sounded like a paradox. I didn't quite get it. And the more I studied it, the more I reflected on it. What it actually means is when we're making a difference out there and being selfless, and not just, I'm not saying, hey, go around and start helping random charities because it's all about selflessness. No. But when you've got a higher goal, a higher aspiration that you're working towards, whether it's in your job, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your family, whether it's in, following your passion, when you create a bigger vision, therein your own to-dos, your own dreams get fulfilled. When you take away the focus from I to what am I serving in this world and why am I here, everything you stand for starts to fall into place standing in there. But when we take our vision of that grander purpose and purely focus on, I need this, I want to do this, we get so attached to the result, we miss out on the grander picture. And last but not least is, beyond having that grand vision, is just bringing on an approach of forgiveness and compassion towards yourself. Because failure occurs as such a significant missing, such a significant I couldn't make it, that it robs us of getting present to, hey, at least I tried, or at least I even dared to dream of something happening in this realm. When you bring forgiveness and compassion to yourself, it's another way of being that just allows new opportunities and new possibilities to show up. And, there's a great quote by Muhammad Ali, which really looks at the notion of, and I think all three mindsets or approaches that we default to, which is not taking actions around how we're feeling, or being so attached to results, get addressed in this, which is don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. And so when you take on the mindset of karma yoga, when you take on the mindset of fully bringing your mind where your hands are, whatever your hands are doing in this moment, be fully present, you start experiencing a different kind of lightness, a different kind of, aliveness, a different kind of presence that isn't there when we're focusing on a future that we haven't yet seen, but we're creating it standing and being completely absent in the right now, right here. So on that note, I'd love to hear from you guys. We probably have time for one or two of you to share, what are you hearing for yourself newly or differently from this call around how you've been relating to failure, and what new actions can possibly show up and bringing on a mindset of karma yoga. And this is when you guys unmute your buttons and all jump in at the same time.
Okay, it's Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. Go for it.
Hey. So what I got from that is, so around, say, my health and fitness is, what is it for me? I want this perfect body, or I want this for myself. But actually, if I did it for a cause to inspire other people to support them around it, then it's so much bigger.
I love it. Exactly. And, you know, I can relate to that 100% after becoming a mom, where, you know, going back home to my parents' home, sleeping in till 10 or 11 was the norm. And in my New Zealand, I was up by 6:37 every day. And where I stood in is, I'm now, even though my parents were there to look after Kanea, but I got that my being present is being a contribution to Kanea, to his playtime, to his awake time. And so, you know what? Get up, generate yourself, have a cold shower, and kick off today in a brand new way. And if I were just to focus on, hey, I need to be up, I never would have got myself out of bed. But to wake up, to get that I'm being a contribution to my son and being a contribution to my parents was just incredible. It was a no-brainer to jump out that early on a holiday, have a cold shower, and just be with the family.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks for sharing that. Would love to hear from anyone else. What are you guys getting for yourself in how failure has occurred for you guys so far, and what can you hear newly or differently from this call?
So can I just share
Go
quick?
Ghazi.
What I just got from this call right now, really around the forgiveness and compassion part that you just spoke about, because then in that space, I'm looking at all the things I've actually achieved over the last 10 years, which is like incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, like the countries I've been to, the people I've met, the things I've done, all, I guess, through pursuing these goals, but actually hadn't really, not that I hadn't appreciated, but in this new space can really fully be present to all of those things and actually be so full of gratitude that I've actually experienced and achieved all of those things. So, and then also not being so hard on myself, because getting that I've just been attached to the result and not actually enjoyed the experience of of the journey. So yeah, that's
absolutely, you know, and I love that you really gotten that for yourself, because one of the things as I was, you know, preparing for this call, of course I was thinking of every area I failed, and you know, at times it's not just us making ourselves wrong, but where we hear remarks and comments from others that reinforce for us what a failure we are. As an example, around my probation and me not getting the job, my managers were just so clear that I was not the one for the job. And I couldn't find the words to communicate to them to give me another chance, because everything I felt I was saying wasn't being heard. And so for me, you know, I already felt like a massive failure, but the fact that they weren't getting that I could make a difference reaffirmed for me that if they think I'm a failure as well, I must be a gigantic loser. And, you know, I can think of other examples in life where in high school, when I was doing my A-levels, I had just moved from Zambia to New Zealand, giving our mock exams, building up to our finals. And my English teacher, we had a whole new syllabus around English language, which had movies, marketing. I had never done that kind of syllabus. And I was struggling with that paper. And my English teacher comes around after we had our mock exam, and she was like, you know what? You're going to fail your exam. You're not going to pass. And it was just so discouraging. And thankfully, some stars aligned and I actually did pass. But as I was preparing for the call last night, I was just reading quotes from incredible leaders who got told the same by people out there. Walt Disney got fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and not having any original ideas. That one just made me laugh. Oprah Winfrey was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. And it's amazing, you know, of course, hindsight is 2020. It gives us perfect vision and we get to look back and reflect on how ridiculous these people were. But you know what? I realized it's not how ridiculous they were, but how we relate to ourselves is how the world shows up for us. So when I stand in a space of I'm a loser, I suck, I can't make it, everything around me starts showing up in that realm. People will say stuff that reaffirms for me exactly how I think about myself. And so 100% of the power in any given moment lies with us and our mindset and our approach. When we say, you know what, heck, I failed, get up and let's get back on, embrace failure. Failure is grand. Failure is a brilliant lesson. It's an awesome opportunity. Then, my gosh, you get wings bigger than what Red Bull would ever give you, and you get to fly higher than you ever thought you could fly. And so on that note, ladies and Ronnie and Dia Kanea, we're going to love you and leave you. Take on being fully present with a mindset of karma yoga. Bring your mind where your hands are. Create a bigger purpose around your actions. Forgive yourself, bring compassion. And you know what? Failure is the best thing that could ever happen to you, because you get to look at where you're not being true to yourself. So on that note, guys, big hugs. Have a phenomenal, exciting week. Great Monday, and speak to you guys next Monday. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.